Hey church, I wanted to send out a quick video about worship this coming Sunday. This coming Sunday, October the 4th, we're going to go back to only having one worship time with all of us together at one time. And our worship time this Sunday is going to be our old time that we used to have, 10:30 a.m. So for the last 4 months, we've been doing two different worship times and had our church body separated into these two different these worship times. This Sunday, we're going to go back to having one worship service. Of course, our original plan in having two worship services was just to make sure that we provided as much space as possible and to be able to provide the proper distance and to be able to keep the numbers of people down in each of our gatherings. But as we have been walking through all of this together with the coronavirus pandemic over the last few months, we've continued to make little tweaks on how we have our seats arranged and different kinds of things, how we do things on Sunday morning. And we feel confident that we have the seats available, the space available. We figured out a way to utilize all of our space so that we can go back to gathering everyone in here together and to do it appropriately and to do it safely. So I wanted to take a few minutes to just kind of give a video of how things will look on this coming Sunday. So of course, first, I'll begin here with our worship center. And the worship center is going to look exactly like it's looked for the last several weeks, with our chairs laid out here, space in between each rows. And just as a reminder, we've got some smaller sections of chairs on the sides, groups of 4 on each of the sides of the room here. And then we've got some larger sets of chairs in the middle. Just ask all of the small families to sit in the smaller groups of seats and lead the bigger sections in the middle for bigger families. So try to come in and find one that fits you the best, and that way we can utilize as much space in here as possible. But this is what the worship center is going to look, just like it's always looked. Again, for the last several weeks, there's been a lot of seats that we haven't been using, particularly those front couple of rows there. They're not consistently utilized. We're going to have to utilize probably all of our chairs in here this coming Sunday, so I encourage you to be the first one that wants to jump out there and sit on the front row. Out here is where we really have been doing a lot of work over the last few months to try to make this space in the foyer as usable as possible. And so we've got rows of distance chairs sit up here in the foyer, and what we've done is we've got 2 new TVs. We used to have a TV up here on the wall, but we've put 2 new TVs down here facing the same direction as you normally would if you were sitting in the worship center. And we've got some speakers set up out here so that you can actually sit in these chairs in the foyer, watch the TV, hear the service come through the speakers live. And it's absolutely the best that we can do to make it just like you were in the worship service. And so the experience out here will be very, very similar to just as you were in there. And so we've done all that we could do to make this outside foyer space as much like you were as a part of the worship service in the actual worship center room as possible. And so you'll be able to watch, take part, listen, be involved, sing, all those kinds of things when you're seated out here. Also, we had a few extra seats available, and so I just stuck them out here in the hallway here to have just, again, extra seating. We've got a speaker set up here, so the service is being, live. You get live sound as you're sitting out here in the hallway, and these seats are obviously set up in 2s and distance together. You cannot see the TVs in the foyer from these seats in here, but you can see the stage, and so you can take part with a view of the stage and the live sound coming through the speakers here. It's just as best as we can possibly do to make it just like you were in the worship center with us and have extra space out here. The door at the end of the hallway is going to be open. We don't usually have that door open and usable, but we are going to begin opening it every Sunday and make it usable. And so maybe you want to slip in that door, slip out that door to kind of avoid traffic that would normally come through the foyer doors. If you would like to do that, that's going to be available for use there. So feel free to use that. We'll make sure it's unlocked on Sundays. And also our youth room is now overflow space. Of course, we have always had our youth room going for overflow space, but now we've got it set up and we'll probably be utilizing it more in the coming weeks. We put our couches in here, so this may be the popular spot. The worship center will be going through the TV there, and you can come in here and utilize this as overflow space. In addition to that, our downstairs fellowship area is also going to be available for overflow space. I'm not going to take you down there in this video, but there's a TV set up downstairs and seats that will be set up downstairs in the fellowship area. Now the kids ministry hallway will be closed. I mean, you won't be able, not just anybody will be able to walk down there. We keep that secure and closed with our volunteers and our kids, and we'll have kids down there. But the fellowship area will be available for you to go sit. If you want to, again, you feel like you want some extra space, you can go down there and take part in the worship service through the TV that's set up down there. And we'll have the Lord's Supper set up in two different spots. We'll have the Lord's Supper obviously set up at the front where we've been having it set up, but also we're going to have the Lord's Supper set up at this round table. For those who are sitting out here in the overflow space in the hallway, can just go and utilize the table right here. We'll have the elements sit right here on this table. Of course, we have been doing the Lord's Supper. We've got hand sanitizer available. Of course, you don't have to take part in the supper if you don't want to. So that's how it will look this coming Sunday. Again, I'm confident that we've pretty much got every chair that we own set somewhere. And so we've got as many chairs as we can possibly have, as many spots of overflow space as we can possibly have available. And we have as many of these chairs set up in such a way where it can be just as much like being in the worship service as we can possibly do it. And so feel very confident that we can be able to have our entire church body together at one time in a way that's safe and appropriate. With that, just a few things that I wanted to remind you of. And I don't say these every week, but these are things that I want to encourage you always to be doing, even though I might not say them every week. And first of all, just make sure that you don't come to church sick. So do a wellness check on yourself, do a wellness check on your children. So the kids that will be utilizing the nursery on Sunday morning, we're going to check their temperature and do a little wellness check on them, make sure they're not sick. But I encourage all of you to do a personal wellness check. And if you have fever, if you have chills, if you have a shortness of breath or a difficulty breathing, if you have fatigue, body aches, if you have a new loss of taste or smell, these are the standard coronavirus symptoms. And if you are sick, don't come. And we say this all the time, like don't come to church if you're sick, stay home, don't make everybody else sick, but particularly when we're in the midst of the situation here with the coronavirus. Like if you're sick, if you have these symptoms, stay home and stay away, don't come. Also, I want to encourage you to just be mindful of one another and courteous to one another. So we have people who are all along different spots of comfort. And so some of you are really comfortable being around other people, and some of you are super comfortable being around your community group folks, and you've got people that you're close with all the time, and so you're comfortable being close with them and here on Sunday morning. And then we have some of us that are not very comfortable and are super nervous about being around other people. And what I want to encourage all of us to do is just to be courteous and mindful of one another. Don't ever assume that that person thinks exactly the way that you think, and make sure that you give some space before you just assume that maybe they don't want space or don't need space. So it's just important for us to just be mindful and loving and courteous and understanding of one another. And I want to encourage you to do an extra dose of that as we go back to one service here. Also, I want to encourage you to and ask you to please avoid congregating in the foyer area. And if you want to catch up before or after the service, go out here under the canopy and catch up outside, just because we're going to have more people here. More traffic, more opportunities for contacts. We need to avoid doing a lot of congregating out here in the foyer. And so just go ahead and step outside and catch up with one another outside, and don't do it inside here. And then finally, as always, we have masks available. Our policy from the beginning has been to not require masks, but we always have them available. You may feel the need to wear a mask because we are going to have more people in here on Sunday morning, and so please do that. And we've got these available, and you can use them at any time. I'm encouraged. I'm excited to see everyone Sunday. So just pray that the Lord continues to watch over us and pray that the Lord is glorified. And I hope to see you this Sunday as we gather together as a church to worship together. Also, I want to remind you that in addition to having one worship service this Sunday, our student ministry is also starting back this Sunday. So our students are going to begin gathering together at 9 a.m. Students is going to begin at 9 a.m. We're going to start back our Sunday morning prayer time at 9:15. So at 9:15 in here in the worship center, we're going to have our time of prayer, which we had started back in March. We literally did it one Sunday before everything shut down. And so we're going to start that back this Sunday at 9:15. So students at 9, prayer time at 9:15, and then worship begins at 10:30. Unfortunately, we're not able to do the first hour kids stuff at 9 o'clock like we normally would. Our desire is to start that very, very soon, but just, we want to be as wise as we can as we progress in starting some of these things back that we've not done in several weeks. So again, love you. I'm praying for you. Eager to see you Sunday, and I'll see you this Lord's Day.